Now available in paperback. Those who refuse the gift of eternal life are condemned to wander in the darkness of eternal night. Get your copy of Eternal Night at online booksellers today. Over the weekend, there was a shooting at a Sonic drive-in in Nebraska, which led to the murders of two Sonic employees and the injury of two others. And this incident is a very disturbing one once you start to hear the possible motive for going into this restaurant and shooting and wounding those two employees and murdering the two others. Now, it's alleged that your 23-year-old Roberto Carlos Silva Jr. went to this Sonic drive-in a U-Haul that he allegedly set on fire and then went into this restaurant to shoot and murder those four employees, but he wound up injuring two of them. And this was all done over what is alleged to be a theft of food at the Sonic restaurant. Now, it's alleged that your Roberto Carlos Silva Jr. went and used another person's account to have food from the Sonic restaurant delivered to his home, and he made several orders on this account, stealing this person's identity. Now, many people would look at this as an isolated and bizarre incident, but when I take a critical examination of the alleged behaviors that your Roberto Carlos Silva Jr. is alleged to have participated in as a motive for the murder and wounding of those individuals inside of the Sonic restaurant, I see yet another incident in America's ongoing man crisis here in America. And just like in my book, The Man Crisis, your Ricardo Silva Jr. fits the pattern and profile that I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis, for a beta male. Now, when it comes down to many of these beta males oftentimes do not have good male life skills or good male survival skills. And because these beta males are not taught male life skills and survival skills, they don't know how to conflict resolve or problem solve. And that's what it looks like in the case here of your Roberto Carlos Silva Jr., who decided to steal, allegedly, somebody else's Sonic account and decided to order fast food from that account and then didn't want to deal with the consequences of using another individual's account, which is law enforcement getting involved in order to deal with this petty theft. And after your Ricardo Carlos Silva Jr. was arrested for petty larceny, I believe, this is what the thing that triggered him to go out here and want to seek revenge. Because oftentimes, when beta males feel slighted, what they want to do is get their revenge. And this guy probably felt, oh, those Sonic employees snitched on me, and now I'm going to make those Sonic employees pay. And what he wanted to do when he went to that restaurant was get this truck, set a diversion with the fire, and then make it look like this place was being bombed, allegedly, and then use that as a cover to participate in the murders of those employees in an effort to get his revenge. Because oftentimes, when it comes down to these beta males are extremely angry. They simmer and boil in anger for years, and when their anger is triggered, they wind up exploding in a rage. And after they explode in a rage, they participate in a spectrum of violent behaviors. And this beta male was probably triggered by the arrest for the theft of that food that he allegedly had done using that other person's account, and then decided that he was going to make those employees pay for having him arrested. So that was his motive for going down to that Sonic restaurant and participating in a mass shooting of those employees. And then, after the police found out about all of the mayhem he participated in, this beta male was so dysfunctional that when the police arrested him and took a mugshot of him, he decided to smile in the mugshot, showing me that this beta male was just extremely unhinged, and again showing me the clear and present danger a beta male is to a society. Now, most people will look at this bizarre as a bizarre isolated incident, but again, I see it as yet another incident in America's ongoing man crisis, because many of these males, like this one, clearly do not have good male life skills. They do not have good male survival skills. They don't know how to think critically, and they do not know how to problem solve. And they are a clear and present danger to everyone, because these ticking time bombs, it's not a question of if they go off, it's a matter of when, and most can only worry about what type of damage these individuals will do when they go out here and participate in their spectrum of violent behaviors. Now, most people will look at, again, as an isolated incident, but this is not an isolated incident. When I took a critical examination of this male's behavior, it clearly fit that pattern and profile I have talked about regarding America's ongoing man crisis. And this man crisis from this incident looks like it continues to get worse instead of better. And sadly, most Americans are just not paying attention to this man crisis. They are just not paying attention to it in some cases because many are oblivious to it, and it's not been acknowledged by your mental health professionals and those in the mainstream media. And the reason why it's probably not acknowledged, I believe, is because many do not want to hold most of America's women accountable for the way boys have been raised in this society. Because the main reason why we have a man crisis in this country is due to the dysfunctional way boys are raised in these single mother households and these divorced households and households with beta male fathers. And because these boys learn female life skills and survival skills, they don't know how to solve problems the way a man knows how to. And because these males get emotional like this one does, they start acting on their impulses once things go wrong in their lives, and then they act on those impulses looking to do harm to others in order to sate their emotions. And what happens is as they're acting on their emotions and looking to feel good like this individual did when he was smiling in that photo, what happens is they don't think about the harm they do to others, and they don't even think about the consequences of their actions. It's all about their feelings, and that's something many of these beta males they don't think about as related to anything. That everything is about their feelings and satisfying their feelings, and they're not thinking about the consequences of their actions later on. Now, this individual, he wound up murdering 2 people over some fast food that's going to go into the toilet. And that's what's really troubling, because again, when you have an emotional beta male, he's thinking more about getting even with someone instead of thinking about how this is going to get him in a jam, because this guy is going to be eating food at Sonic to eating prison food for the rest of his life, and he's going to go from a tight end to a wide receiver inside of a Nebraska prison, where he'll be doing life in prison for the 2 murders he participated in, all because he was never taught how to conflict resolve, how to problem solve, or how to go out here and be able to fend for himself in a situation. Because if he wanted food from a Sonic, he didn't have to steal somebody's account as was alleged. All he had to do was probably walk in there and ask for something, or even ask for a job, and he would have probably had access to that Sonic food, and he did not have to do harm to anyone inside of that restaurant. And I find it sad that this male wound up murdering two people and injuring two others just because he was mad because he got caught stealing, and allegedly. And that's really troubling because it shows me how little regard the beta male has for human life. And it's all, again, because it's all about his feelings. He doesn't care about anybody else's life as long as he feels like he's getting his revenge. And that's one of the most dangerous things about the beta male. It's all about his feelings and never about anybody else. And that's what makes the beta male an extremely dangerous person, because here you have somebody with the physical ability of a man, but the emotional mindset of a woman. And this emotional mindset is so messed up. These guys never once think about any consequences of their actions. So this is another incident in America's ongoing man crisis, a crisis that is not being acknowledged these days. And we really need more Americans to start looking at this man crisis, because if we don't deal with this man crisis sooner rather than later, we're going to have a major problem in this country, because 70% of the men out here who have been raised in these single mother households are ticking time bombs. And if we don't find a way to deal with this crisis with men, we're not going to have a stable country for much longer, because these men, they don't know how to function in the world, and their dysfunction is only going to cause more chaotic incidents like this. Now, if you want to learn why these males act like this and participate in this spectrum of violent behaviors, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find it on Smashwords, the iBook Store, Barnes & Noble, and Google Play. And if you want to see me make more men's issues videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the link in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.